A Sunday school servant writes and asks, how can I be sure the kids understood the lesson? So I'm going to offer a few different ways to make sure that the kids really understood your lesson, okay? Truly, the only way to be sure is to test the kids on the knowledge. There are just a bunch of different ways you can do that. So first of all, during the lesson, as you're giving the lesson, make sure you're asking a lot of questions. So as you're saying something, ask a kid to verify it. Like, Noah built an ark. What was the boat that Noah built called? Have a kid answer. Have them say, oh, it was the ark, okay? Include them during the lesson. Lots of little questions just to confirm that they heard you, that they understood you, even to push past a little bit their normal knowledge. Maybe somebody knows exactly how many cubits or what type of wood or whatever that is. That's, of course, if you're talking about younger kids. With older kids, maybe what you're asking is more if they understood the definition of a particular word in the Bible passage you're reading, things along those lines. But asking questions during the lesson is a good way to make sure they're all keeping up with you and that they're all understanding as you go along. Now, at the end, or maybe if you have different sections to your lesson, you can ask one of the kids to summarize or retell the story quickly. They can even do it in such a way that you just have them turn to a neighbor and they, just say like, turn to your neighbor and tell them 2 things you learned from the lesson today. And while they're doing that, your listening ears are paying attention to everything that they're saying so that you can confirm that they got the right information. So if someone says, well, Jonah built the ark, you can be like, whoa, wait. The guy's name was Noah. Jonah's a different story, just to clarify. Another really good way to make sure they've really connected with the lesson that you've given is to ask a closing discussion question. This is especially useful for like a high school lesson where it's about something big like whether you should date as a teenager or not, let's say. If you ask a question at the end that is a little bit open-ended, that could bring up discussion, you can easily see whether they connected and understood and agreed with your lesson or if they're just totally tossing it and their brains are somewhere else, okay? So asking some kind of discussion question, getting them to talk a little bit past the lesson, but using the knowledge from the lesson can help you ensure that they understood what you were saying. Another way to do it is to ask them to remember the lesson the following week. So asking questions about last week's lesson is a really good way to make sure they understood it. You can also have like unit quizzes or Kahoots when you finished a series of lessons on a particular topic. You can come together and be like, okay, let's review what we learned about the Holy Spirit or, drugs and alcohol or whatever the topics are for that particular unit. So just running a Kahoot or a quiz or something like that, it's hopefully something fun, engaging, like a Jeopardy, is a really good way to make sure that they are, following along and really understand what you're trying to say. The last way I'm going to mention, the final way that you can check if they really understood the lesson, is to give them a chance to act on the knowledge. Give them an application for the knowledge. So I have 2 different times where you can do this. One, you can do it in class. You can create kind of like a practice session. For example, let's say your lesson is about kindness and bullying, okay? So you can have them pair off and do some kind of practice where one of them has to say something mean. Obviously, you should script this so they don't say really mean things, but have them practice what they would say in response if someone was being unkind, or how they would intervene if they saw someone being bullied. If we're talking about, let's say, someone questioning you about your faith, maybe you give them an opportunity to respond to questions and feel that kind of stress of being questioned in the classroom in a practice session. You can also give them applications and assignments to do outside of class. So it could be that they have to do a project on the topic, or that you ask them that week to check off a certain thing, like make sure that 3 times this week you honor your father and mother and describe them to us. Something along those lines. A way to practice and put into action the knowledge that you have given really helps you make sure that you got the message across and that they understood what you were trying to say. So one of the things I want to say just at the end, kind of to wrap it up, is that kids more readily absorb knowledge that they hear from other kids. So anytime you're having a kid answer a question or summarize or retell the story or anything along those lines, those kids are absorbing that lesson even better than when they heard it from you. Because, they trust their peers for some crazy reason, sometimes more than they do us, right? And if they hear someone else give the correct answer, that sticks a little bit longer, goes in a little deeper. They really recognize the, for some reason, authority of their peer group, okay? So use that to your advantage and have the words of the story or the knowledge come out of the mouth of somebody besides you whenever possible. Okay, I hope that helps you to make sure that you ensure that the kids understood the lesson that you are trying to give.